Good evening, everyone. I'm Raven. Welcome to Mooncraft October. Um, I know a lot of you were looking forward to the White Buffalo Calf-Woman ceremony and the continuation of the creation story, but sometimes things come up and sometimes our plans change. I was getting ready to set up my ancestral altar the other day, and I have a new member to add to that altar, and that is my beautiful familiar, my soulmate, and my companion, Moonshadow. My wonderful dog was with me for 9 years. In getting ready to place him on that ancestral altar, I was inspired to tell this story. Normally, I wouldn't tell this story until midwinter. If I told it at all, this is a very, very hard story for me to talk about. So in the very first winter, let me back up. This story is called the Fire Pact. This is the story about how humans and dogs came to coexist. In the very first winter, and it was a harsh winter, the wind would not stop blowing. The clouds were so thick and the snow poured so heavy that the sun didn't shine for days. It was a very rough time for everything on top of Macaw, on top of the earth. It was a struggle just to survive. And in the depths of that deep, dark winter, First Dog gave birth to her puppies. And she knew that she could not leave them. Once she gave birth, she knew she could not leave them. If she left them in that nest, if she left them in that space, they would freeze to death. They would die. And to preserve her children, knowing she couldn't leave, she stayed with them. She wrapped very tightly around them. She continued to nurse them. She fed them. She did everything she could to ensure that her children were okay while sacrificing herself. And after a time, she grew very skinny. Her milk dried up, and the smallest of her children died. The smallest puppy passed away. And she knew she must do something. She must do something to protect her children. And from her nest underneath the thick brush, she could see the fire burning that was kept by First Man and First Woman. Now, First Woman was also heavy with child. She was deep in her months. She was very heavy with child and knew that child would come at any time. But First Dog, after the loss of her child, after the loss of her smallest child, knew she must do something. So very cautiously, she approached the fire of First Man and First Woman. And she spoke to First Woman, saying, "I am a mother, as you soon will be too. I would see that my children survive just as you would yours. I would like you to make a pact with me over this fire. I will bring my children to you, and they will love you, they will keep you warm, they will guard your camp, and if need be, they will lay down their very life to protect you and your children." First Man and First Woman listened to First Dog, and they said, "Bring your children." So First Dog quickly went back to her nest with all the strength she had left. And she brought her children one by one to the fire of First Man and First Woman. And as first dog was bringing her children to first man and first woman went into labor. And she gave birth to a young baby girl. And as the last puppy was being brought to first man and first woman laid her brand new baby girl down into that nest of puppies, and they all lay by the fire. And first dog lay down amongst her children, and she licked each one of them. She loved them for a moment. And then first dog proceeded to stand up and to walk into the darkness to go die underneath the stars. But as first dog proceeded to leave the campfire, she turned back to first man and first woman and spoke very plainly. My children will love you. They will protect you. They will keep you warm. They will keep you safe. They will guard your camps and your homes. But if you allow any of my children ever, through generations, to go hungry, to be mistreated, to be harmed, if you allow them to suffer when they are suffering, I would see it better that you take a sharp knife and end their pain quickly. As long as you honor this pact, my children will stand with you. They will love you. They will guide you. They will bring you joy. If any of you or any of your generations should dishonor this pact, there will be war. There will be famine and hunger. There will be hatred and unconsolableness until that pact is honored again. And first dog proceeded to wander out into that darkness and to die, knowing that her children were safe, and that because of that pact, that humans and canines would forever live in some sort of harmony. I know that's a very paraphrased part of the story. I paraphrased it a lot because it is a very rough story for me, and I did not want to turn into a bawling, mushy mess on camera. What I would like to talk about is as we come into this time of honoring our ancestors, we need to also realize that sometimes our ancestors are those familiars who have passed on, those teachers, those animals who are wisdom keepers for us. So, as we go into this season, I would like to ask you to remember those animals who have touched your life. Those wonderful, sweet, unconditionally loving beings that help us to become better people. Tonight I'm going to place my dog on the ancestral altar. He will have his own special place. I would hope that those of you who have had your familiars pass on, those of you who have had animal companions to pass on, have kept something of them. I do have his ashes. I also have his little teeny tiny footprints. His collar. And this medicine bag that contains the hair that I cut off him when he passed away. All of these things are going to go onto my ancestral altar because of what he meant to me. He was definitely an old soul. He was a loving soul, and he brought me much guidance and love. And love is important. So when I place him on the ancestral altar, he will have his own space that stands out above my relatives, above those people who actually gave birth to me. Because he is not just a past relative. He still lives in here. So I would like to encourage you all to invite and to remember that you can invite your lost animals back into the circle as your relatives. I would like to invite you to honor them on your ancestral altars or in whatever practice you see fit when we're coming into this time of the thinning of the veil. Remember them, love them, send them peace. Let them send you peace. Feel the love. It never dies. Thank you, my relatives, and have a beautiful night.